Once upon a time in the village of Namobi, where the people of the village lived in harmony and in peace. The villagers is best known for their great skills in farming, catching fishes and hunting as well. Most of their wealth came from farming. In the village, there lived an orphan, a girl named Ngozi. After losing both her parents at young age, she was adopted into a family of hunters, where she was taught how to hunt in the forest, fish hunting and farming as well. She always liked following her brother to hunt even though they are not related and they still care for one another like real siblings would. Ngozi normally goes fish hunting in the afternoon when the water is calm. She has a daily routine for hunting and farming. Every Wednesday, she goes for farming at the bush and Fridays, she goes hunting in the forest looking for bushmeat to catch and then sell them at the market. 3 days after, the village chief of security called for attention and meeting of all the villagers. He announced that fishes and meats are missing from their reserve and storehouse, and other villagers complained about their own fish and meats missing as well. And so the chief security guard placed a fine on the villagers. He said anyone that is caught stealing fishes and meat of others in the village will pay a fine and will serve the community for 2 years. He placed the fine and punishment to stop thieves from stealing other people's hard work, their fishes and meat. 2 days after, a poultry farmer across the village came to do some exchange with people of the Namobi village. The village of Namobi is best known for its riches, fish and bushmeat. And so the poultry farmer brought chickens to sell to the people of Namobi and also offers a trade in business of exchanging his chickens for fish and some bushmeats. He kept about 50 chickens in the village storehouse. When he got to the storehouse in the morning, he discovered that 10 chickens were missing. He saw chicken feathers on the ground with footprints. He immediately alerted the chief security on what had happened. The chief security became angry and so he placed guards around the storehouse and he sent an examiner to examine the footprints at the ground. When the examiner looked at the footprints, he said, "This is not a footprint of a man. I think it's that of a bear." And the chief guard replied, "A bear?" He said, I see. No wonder fishes has been missing from the storehouse." He then told the guards to keep a close eyes around the storehouse and they should be watchful of a bear. And so they made traps to catch the bear. They placed woods around the storehouse in combination with ropes at front of the door and they placed a bucket full of fishes in it to attract the bear. They stood at the nearest tall palm tree behind the storehouse, looking at the house and waiting if they would see any bear. But however, the outcome was different. What they saw wasn't what they expected. As they looked closely, they saw a big snake eating the fish they kept at the door, and they were surprised. They went down immediately to catch the snake, and they threw their net above and the snake managed to escape through a hole next to the house. And so they reported the matter to the chief of security. They said, "We didn't see a bear, it was a snake." And the chief asked, "What of the footprint in the storehouse?" And they replied, "It might be that of a dog footprint." The chief replied, "A dog?" The guard said yes. And one of the guards said, "Sir, dogs also like eating fish. They are attracted to the smell of a fish, and it might have snuck his way in the house to eat some fish." And the chief security replied, "What about the missing chickens?" And the guard said, "It might be a thief, sir." And the chief said, "Well, let's see." And they all left the storehouse. And then after, the poultry farmer sold the remaining chickens that was left, and the chief security compensated him with some fish as well. Later that day, in the afternoon, Ngozi went to the farm in the forest together with her brother. They went to gather some fruits to sell at the market. As they were gathering the fruits, Ngozi got up and went to the other side to drink water from the river. As she was drinking, she heard the crush of a stick, a sound of something stepped on a stick. She got up immediately and said, "Who is there?" And she looked closely and saw the grass was moving slowly. At first, she thought it was the wind that was moving the grass. But what she saw was different from what she was thinking. She saw a black and yellow tail shaking slowly. She thought it was a snake and she quickly grabbed a stick so that she can catch it and then sell it at the market. As she was about to throw the stick, a big leopard jumped out of the bush towards her direction. As the leopard jumped, she used the stick to block the leopard's mouth and then shouted, "Help! "Help! Help!" But her brother was far away from where she was and couldn't hear her. Ngozi gathered strength. As she was afraid, she used her strength to push the leopard to the side and then jumped into the water that was close to her. She started swimming towards the other side. However, the leopard was not afraid of water as it jumped in as well, chasing after Ngozi. But as they are on water, their ability to move fast was reduced. He managed to get closer to her. As the leopard stretched out his hand to grab Ngozi, she turned quickly and used her legs to push the leopard backwards. And so she dived deep inside the water and she started swimming fast to the other side under the water. And so she managed to swim across to the other side of the water as the river was not that big. And the leopard was still on the water, staring at her continuously. When she got to the other side, she looked but all she could see was bushes. And the way back to the village is where she met the leopard at the other side where her farm was. And she continued to look for a road that could link to the village, but there was none. As she continued to walk in the bush, she saw white monkeys, together about 15 white monkeys. When they saw her, they started jumping and making noises, trying to scare her. When she saw them, she turned and started running, not knowing the direction she was going, even though she was tired from the battle with the leopard. And so it was evening time. Her brother was searching for her. He went to the river where Ngozi went to drink water from, but he could not find her. When he looked at the ground, he saw the sand scattered as if someone was strangling on the sand. He shouted her name but no answer. He looked at the river but it was calm like nothing was in it. And then after, he went back to the village. He told the chief security they both went to the farm and his sister went to drink water but didn't return. After the chief security heard what he said, the chief security arranged a search party to go to the forest where their farm was and search the place. And so they went searching the farm and the river but could not find her. They even crossed to the other side, shouting Ngozi's name but no response, not knowing that Ngozi was asleep as she was exhausted from the battle with the leopard. Ngozi found a small stone cave in the forest at the other side across the river and she went in to sleep. And so it was 5 days after and Ngozi is nowhere to be found. And so the house of AMAKA was sad as they thought they had lost their adopted daughter. When Ngozi regained her strength, she picked banana from the banana tree and ate. And she started looking for a way back to the village. As she went, she saw footprints, not of a human. It was that of a leopard. The leopard, after chasing Ngozi halfway on the river, when he looked back, he saw that the way back on the water is far away a little bit. And so he decided to swim to the nearest land he saw, which is the other side where Ngozi was. Ngozi quickly gathered strong wood after seeing the leopard and she shaped them like an arrow spear. She carried them along. As she was going towards the river direction, she saw the leopard chasing after the monkeys and she hid at the back of a tree. When the monkeys ran away, it was remaining her and the beast, the angry leopard who just missed his meal. And so the leopard began to circle around, walking in circles. Ngozi then picked up a stone and threw it towards another direction to distract the leopard. And so the leopard ran to where Ngozi threw the stone, but it didn't see anything to eat or chase. After Ngozi threw the stone, she ran as the leopard was running to the direction where the stone is at. As she was running, she heard a roar of a leopard. As she looked back, the leopard was chasing her. As she ran, she took one of the arrows she made and then threw it at the leopard, but she missed. As the leopard jumped to grab her, she threw the second arrow spear and it touched the leopard's leg, and the leopard fell to the ground and it was still running but slowly this time. Ngozi took the last arrow spear and aimed at the leopard. As she threw the arrow, she slipped and fell and the arrow touched the leopard's hand. And so the leopard was weak and couldn't walk properly. Ngozi gathered the rest of her strength and began to run fast as she could. When she got to the river, she jumped in and started swimming fast. Not knowing her brother and some of her friends came to the river to pay their last respects to her. They thought she was no more. But as they began to pray and sing, the water started vibrating. As they looked, they saw someone swimming towards the land. A girl, her brother said. As he saw Ngozi, he quickly jumped into the water to help her. When he got to her, he began to cry. And Ngozi said, "Brother, now is not the time to shed tears. There is a beast, a leopard chasing after me." And they quickly got out of the water. And as everyone was happy, Ngozi told them she fought with a leopard and she was trapped for days in a cave, and she managed to escape from the leopard. Everyone was surprised, and so they went back to the village, and Ngozi told the chief security what happened. And so the chief security realized it was the leopard that took the chickens. And so the chief guard told Ngozi and her brother to stay away from their farm until the leopard is captured. And so the guards of Namobi village secured the entire village and went in search of the leopard, and they captured it and put the leopard in a cage. And then after, Ngozi and her brother continued to farm and hunt in their farm safely without the fear of a leopard.